public meetings are subject to being recorded. Their image and voice will be recorded. I'm gonna call the meeting to order at 6:01. We have minutes to approve. Did everybody have a chance to take a look at them?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Is there anything that needs to be changed? No?
Didn't
All
have
good?
any effect, just council office would be clerk's office, I guess. I don't think, yeah, it's
Okay.
minimal, but.
Yeah, if
Like-
you just send over to just see if she can change that,
Mm,
whatever
okay.
needs to be changed. All right.
Good.
Motion to approve?
Aye.
Tim, you're up next, if you're right at the beginning.
Thank you. One of the documents that we get when we look at the coalition's website is the suggestion that there be a grant agreement if you extend funds to a housing trust, and then I think they mentioned that down here in the third paragraph, and this rule is now included in an amended, whatever, MH8 Mass,
Municipal Area Housing Trust, probably?
yeah, probably
Something.
legislation, municipal affordable housing trust
Affordable housing
legislation.
trust, yes.
As possible to grant funds to a trust for all CPA purposes generally advisable to be more specific, which we were, on the use of the funds in the grant agreement to avoid conflicts, and at a minimum, your agreement should detail within what time frame the funds will be used or what happened to any excess funds of the board. So, I just wanted to say, if you guys wanna go on the website, there's this sort of draft that you can look at, you know, over the course of the next month or so when you meet. You know, look at it and think if it's palatable, whether you'd wanna adjust it somehow, but it seems like it's a best practice that the committee was talking about, and said we probably ought to chat with you guys about, just to make sure
Yeah.
it's something that you thought made sense too.
My only concern with going forward with specificity is if we are supposed to be nimble and we are supposed to address.
Yeah, and to me, the time frame isn't as much of an issue as it might just identify uses, and we just all are on the same page with that.
Yeah.
Time frame to me is nonsensical because it takes away that ability to be nimble, which is the goal that we tried to achieve when we said, here's the money. You know, keep it, and cause there's no way you can identify what the time frame's gonna be for projects like the ones you've got here. There may be some in the future where you say, this is going specifically to work with the Neshoba, whatever it is. Is it Neshoba?
With.
You got the, Northern Worcester County, it's Northern Worcester County
Yeah,
Habitat for
Habitat.
Humanity, so it's not
Yeah.
Neshoba. But you might have an agreement with them that's more fixed in some fashion, and specific to a project that they've got in place, and, you know, it might make sense to, because what we're trying to do is with some of the projects that we're setting up with rec, for instance, where they might wanna build a pavilion. We're gonna build into the article on the warrant probably that if it's not expended within 3 years or something like that, that then the CPA has the right to claw back the money. Because there's no point in tying it up if it hasn't been expended. And then if they come in and say legitimately they've got a reason not to expend it, they're gonna expend it by a certain amount of time, then we say, you know, no, fine, keep it. But the opportunity to take money that's sort of tied and not gonna be expended, to be able to pull that back so we can put it to other uses for CPA, to us makes sense.
Yeah.
And
You
I
can't
agree
do that
you.
with the trust.
I was gonna say.
Once the money's in the trust, you
doesn't
can't take it out,
happen.
so
Right.
that's not even an
Yeah.
option with the trust.
So I'm not sure how that relates.
No, but I mean, in terms of the agreement that there's transparency as to how it gets utilized and that sort of stuff, so.
Yeah, I have no issues
Yeah.
with the reporting requirements or
Yeah.
anything, or even like making sure that we,
So-
I mean,
Well,
we
it's
keep
just
channels
parallel,
open.
because one of the things we talked about at the last meeting was sort of, we're giving out these chunks of money, and we should tie that to a reporting structure.
Right.
And a what happens if these conditions don't get met. And I'm envisioning this as basically the same thing, but we're not going we're not submitting requests for money to them on a cyclical basis, right? It's a much bigger chunk. So our agreement sits further back in the process, right? These are the things that the money can be used for, right? And this is how often we will do a formal reporting back.
Yeah,
You
because
know,
I think what
to
we're
the board.
talking about now is that we'd meet with all the entities that have got funds on an annual basis. Probably sometime during the summer. So we're in the next fiscal year and that sort of thing. And the town meeting has passed, and we can say, how are you doing on projects that have been approved in the preceding year? Because theoretically, they're completed, or you know what the timetable is. Not as much for you guys, but for some of the other groups. We got, we generated 345 or something like that this year, 345,000 internally. But the state only matched us with 47%, so I think we got 145 or something. So we basically got another $500,000 this round between what the town generated and what the state matched us with. So we're down significantly from those 2 high years where we were at 100%. But now, if you look at the number of towns that exceeded our percentage, there's only like 15 or 16 or something like that. So we're still high on the list as a result of being a small community at 3%. So we're still pulling in.
But we're probably gonna continue to decline only because when we went to that meeting with Arthur, with the uses of CPA funds. Stewart.
Yeah.
Yes. With all the big cities now joining, it really cuts out of us attaining what
Yeah.
you've been able to get.
I mean, the big one was Worcester, and they were in this cycle. So, and fees and income to the trust was significantly less this time around. So, because of the slow housing sales and that sort of thing, that impacted us pretty dramatically. So, my hope is that, that we return to somewhere in the, 60% range rather than the 45% range. Because there were 10 towns that tried to join this time, and 7 voted it down. I think 3 came in. So there were quite a few that didn't jump in. And Worcester County is underrepresented pretty significantly. If you look at the map, a lot of the towns west of us are not. Now, I think the Central Mass Commission is going to try to encourage people to join, if the appetite's there. So.
Yeah, because as more towns join, basically the pie gets smaller for
Yeah.
each of us.
Because
So
we're at 200 now.
we'll be coming down to more or less what we collect, less dependent on matching funds, right?
Yeah, I mean, I
There should
still think
always be
there's still gonna be that state revenue, and you've got the 2 biggest cities in the Commonwealth already participating, as well as some of the other lesser but significant cities. So a lot of the missing pieces are smaller towns. So I still think it's gonna be a healthy return. I mean, I think it'll be, 40 to 60%, which is still significant. It means that between what we collect and what we get, we might very well be picking up, $500,000 on an annual basis, which means you guys get, 50 500,000 of that automatically if you want. Otherwise, you can hold it. Now, I don't know what the best rule of action is, whether you should just automatically try to pull that 50 out on a fairly regular basis. You know, if you've got a design for some other programs, it doesn't help you this time around because we're done, but I mean, it's been 2026 at the annual town meeting, you want to put some more money. The fact that you've got that other 500,000 means that you've got some leverage
Yeah, I think.
that most towns don't have.
Yeah. I think the next step would probably be to sort of keep an eye out from a real estate standpoint. I think that's where we're going, if I'm correct, just to see, and that's gonna be more costly
Yeah.
than what we're doing now. We would look for, rundown things that Habitat or somebody else might be interested in developing for affordable, and the stock is low and the.
Right. You do look at houses that, like there's that house on Lower Pleasant Street next to Janet Campbell's, that's sort of just sitting there, that's going to hell, and you think it's probably too far gone. And you always wonder if 5 years ago, if the money had been there, whether you could approach the owner and said, are you interested in selling? Because otherwise the building's just gonna turn into soil, which is unfortunate, because it was a nice little house on a relatively quiet part of town. What else can I say?
So we're looking at this
There's a lot.
draft to
Just
determine.
look at it and see, I think it needs to be tweaked, because like you say, it is some
Yeah.
parts
And
of
it really depends. It's interesting because Jacintha and I talked to Mass Housing Partnership, I think it was, and they have different recommendations than CPA does as far as.
So what do
this
they
goes.
say?
They feel that the 10% at least should go automatically
Yeah.
into the thing,
And-
in order to promote the mission of that there shouldn't be quibbling about that it shouldn't be
And
there's
it-
no issue with the reporting or any of that, like I said, but they do feel that it
Just
should
goes.
just
And,
go.
and Stewart
And
is.
Stewart has a different
just says,
opinion.
I think he wouldn't argue that the money ought to go, it's just that it ought to be targeted at something, not just, like Hudson just turns it over.
Yeah.
But he
I mean,
says.
because the housing
So-
trust has it, I mean, we have a very narrow sort of mission and purpose.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's
And number one,
guardrails.
it
There's
can't be
guardrails.
spent anywhere else, so
Right.
if it's not housing, then it's
Yeah.
not like it's going to be
Yeah.
flipped back or this or that, and people don't know where it ends up going. It goes to housing, it's
I mean.
the only
th-
place it can go.
But there could be other entities that would apply for CPA housing money, right?
Like,
It just seems to me that it probably isn't just the housing trust in this town that could apply for CPA money out of that budget.
I would think if somebody was going to do that type of activity, you would send them here anyways.
I would think so.
I would hope so.
But,
So
I'm
it
just-
would be more of a grant program from us as opposed
right,
to.
but that would be something we should look at.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're thinking about like literally somebody who
Well,
lives
there's-
in an affordable unit.
Or
like,
there are regional entities that might very well try to, that would have the capacity to do something that might come to us.
And where?
I don't know, I'm
Yeah.
just.
Like
What
I said, I would
dictates that? The
I would
charter?
still move that over here just because that's.
Yeah.
The
you
charter
guys are.
But that would be
CPA is-
something we should
CPA
write
is
up, right?
generalist.
I think we need to, yeah.
Housing
I-
If it's
is-
about housing, then it'll come through us and we'll, as opposed to the applicant coming in front of CPA.
And that you'd assume that if someone was gonna do improvements to allow them to age in place, for instance, I guess there's ways in which you could make funds available. You can put money can you put money into a pot that,
We cannot,
Not CPA money.
not CPA money, the other money.
The other money
money
is
for
used for
that.
that.
Can be.
But
So
not
CPA
CPA
money-
money, it has to be like capital purchases, it can't be improvements or,
Right.
which is very disappointing frankly, because I think
Mhm.
that would be a really great avenue to sort of direct some of that, and it would help a broad
Does-
swath of the community, but
Does
that's one of
anybody
the.
say that there's an interest, I mean, they've obviously modified the legislation with this little change here that they talked about, and I don't know when that took place, but is there any, does Mass Housing Trust or Partnership or whatever they are, talk about trying to leverage CPA money for a broader range of uses by changing the legislation?
I'm not aware of anything, but
Um,
you can certainly ask.
You're not aware of anything? You
No.
sound like you're asking very targeted questions.
No, I'm
Know
just,
if you
I haven't
have an
thought about
idea?
housing for a while,
Yeah.
which is nice.
But yeah, hopefully they will sort of broaden that out, especially since there's sort of this impression that the money's not being spent for affordable housing. For better or worse, it seems like if they broaden that out and make that so that you could do some of these other things, it might be helpful.
Yeah, for sure. The commission's having another session on accessory dwelling units that I'll send you the link for. And we met with Jane Warwick from the commission last night. I don't think you've worked with her. So what we did is, we asked for DLTA money, District Local Technical Assistance money from the state that goes to the regional planning agencies. And we asked for $8,000 or $7,500 to do a zoning diagnostic, to look at our zoning and find inconsistencies with state law and ways in which new legislation has added new, opportunities and that we haven't incorporated into our zoning bylaw. And so she's gone through it and evaluated it, and inclusionary zoning is one of the issues that she wants us to look more seriously at. So I think we'll obviously come to you guys and say, here's what some other towns have done. I mean, she really feels that, in lieu of building a unit in a project, giving money, that would go to you, obviously, probably, is something that we should consider. Now, we've always taken the hard line that if you're gonna build a project, the affordable units should be included in it, and you shouldn't escape from that responsibility, because affordable units ought to be spread diversely through the community. So that's why we didn't, include that option in anything that we wrote for the inclusionary zoning bylaw in the past. But the commission and other people have always said to us, well, you ought to make that available to people as an option, and I think we need to brainstorm about that, because.
Do you remember what they talked about this at length at the thing that we were at a couple weeks ago, and we were thinking it wasn't applicable here, what they were talking about, and now I'm thinking that we have the handouts, I'll send you over.
Right,
what
because it's about how many, there was definitely, the information she had collected was not information I had ever thought about, like the way we were at this is from the,
The consortium
the
had a
consortium fall meeting, and the first hour was,
It was the second hour,
It
I'm
was
thinking
the-
about
it was
with
the
the
se- you're- yes, yeah, it was
inclusionary zoning was
the
in
second hour inclusionary hour, and so they went through each of the towns
Right.
that was represented, and they just pulled, I think they just looked at websites and stuff, and so that doesn't show you the whole picture.
And they were saying, what does Berlin have? And we were like,
We're
we're
like,
not sure.
We the information you're asking for is not
Right.
not things we think about. So
Is inclusionary zoning starting to be kicked out?
No, and in fact, I think you're seeing it sort of intensify, because communities that are not meeting the 10% want to find ways to push that.
But it sounds like you have to be careful, because some of those actually work and some of them have
Mhm.
proven not to, and there's a whole sort of gambit of yes, no, maybe.
I mean, we could say that because we had it included, Riverbridge was forced to yield, and so was Highland Ridge. So, now Riverbridge is a little different because it was an overlay and we made some agreements in addition to what was just involved. But we've always made it clear, you know, there's no escape from this, and that's what the Highland Ridge proponent always came in and said, you don't really expect me to build affordable units in my project, do you? And we said, yes, we do. And he said, well, isn't there a way around this? You know, can I build like a group home somewhere? And he purchased the property on the corner of Gates Pond Road and 62 that's vacant next to the Gulf Station or whatever it is, with the hope that he would build a group home there, and that he said every bedroom in the group home counts as an affordable unit. And we said, that's not our intent. Our intent is to incorporate the affordable units in the community. So build them. And he you know, whined all the way, but he did it now. And I guess they filled them all. I mean, they filled up pretty quick, you know. I think they're all gobbled up.
Yeah, seems to be, I mean.
Yeah, so that was our position, but I mean, as you play more of a role in this, and obviously if you guys said to us, there's other ways for us to generate money that could be used by us more efficiently and effectively, if we could take money in lieu of instead of including, you know, units in the project. So it's, you know, something for us to think about. And this will take place, so we did the diagnostic, and now we've asked for an EEA grant for like 45,000 or something like that, and we're doing a match. And with that, we'd end up redoing the whole zoning bylaw. So inclusionary zoning would be part of that, and we drag you guys into that.
What would the timeline for that
18 months probably.
be? So,
It would
spring
mean that
meeting a year,
there
like
might be-
2026.
Yeah, and I think that what we said last night was that the Solomon Pond Mall needs to be dealt with, the overlay district for that needs to be dealt with at this town meeting in May, so we'll generate some language for that. And then there are a couple of other pieces that we want to nibble at for this town meeting, like ADUs. We want to have language that addresses the ADU issue, because those are going to be allowed by right, like February 1st or whatever. So, and we keep questioning whether there's a means to require ADUs to be, or a percentage of ADUs to be affordable, but the legislation did not address any way for ADUs, for a community to require ADUs to be affordable.
You mean, because ADUs aren't sold separately, typically, right? I mean,
Affordable
They're-
rental?
But they're rentals, and
So
you can.
they're accessory dwelling units is what they stand for, and generally the language is gonna, so by right, they have to be over, I don't know, 800 square feet or 1,000 square feet or whatever, I think it's maybe 800. They're allowed to have one ADU per existing residential lot. So you can have, if you've got a house, you can have an ADU. So then the building inspectors say, so what about setbacks? And they say, well, all setbacks requirements for the community would still have to be met by the ADU. And then in a town like ours, what about septic issues and well? And I think the argument is that they'd have to still require to, meet the Board of Health requirements. But what people have suggested is that someone comes in and says, my septic system is designed for 4 bedrooms, I've got 4 bedrooms, I'll write a modification to my deed that stipulates that only 3 bedrooms in the house will be used as bedrooms, and then I can add an ADU in the back with a single bedroom. And that still gives me 4, and that's my capacity in my septic system and all this. But how you would ever oversee that is crazy. I mean, there's no way you're gonna say, knock, 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 we need to determine whether the 4th turned it back into a fifth bedroom. So, I think we're gonna try to push back on that a little bit. I mean, I think we'd welcome ADUs, cause they'll probably provide small A affordable units, which would be helpful.
Right.
And they'd more than likely be rental,
And
as opposed to just
with
an in-law.
almost owner-occupied situation,
Well,
so
you
that's
know,
also helpful.
yeah, we've had some slippage. If you look at our bylaw in terms of ADUs, because we allow accessory dwelling units in structures that existed prior to 1990, and then we said you could build a new ADU in a new structure if it was affordable and met the affordable requirements, which it would be difficult to do, but nonetheless we put it in the bylaw. Or it's a caregiver, and I forgot I think there's a third category too. But we don't have a restriction on this. I think we have a restriction that says probably 35% of the, floor area of the existing dwelling or something like that, so. But we need to we wanna look at ADUs and we wanna look at Solomon Pond. We haven't talked about pushing the inclusionary zoning changes for May, just because we don't wanna bite off more than we can chew. And those other two are probably more important right now. So,
Yeah,
good
I
stuff to
think,
think about.
Stephanie and Alyssa also mentioned that there is a potential for programs where if the person with the ADU agrees to make it affordable, you can supplement.
See, that's what, and then we talked about that, and no one knew an answer, so.
Supplement, I'm sorry?
So you agree, like, the housing trust could agree, agree to pay a certain portion of what they're
Their
not
rent.
getting
Okay.
if they agree to make it affordable.
So
Yeah.
try to fill the gap for market rent.
Yeah, at
essentially.
least a portion of that to sort
Rental
of make it
assistance?
more,
Sense?
yeah.
The difficulty's gonna be the need to be part of a lottery, I suppose, and not having the
Yeah.
control that you normally have when you were renting a unit in your backyard or, attached to your house. And I think that's what's gonna scare some people away from wanting to make it affordable, but, if that option were available, some people might very well say, sure, I'd be willing to do that.
So just something to,
I think it'll be
Keep on
really
there.
interesting to watch and see
Almost
how
like-
many ADUs we get that aren't about the nuclear family that lives there, right, and their ability to
Right.
have extended family in the same place. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know that we're gonna see a lot of
I
people who are.
I think though, I think that sort of the model is changing a little bit because you have elderly folks who wanna stay in their homes who maybe need somebody
Mhm,
to just
right.
check in on them
Yeah,
or those
and that's
types of
the-
things. So I
Yeah.
think that sort of idea or model is broadening.
Right, but the idea of, this is not, no one's moving to Berlin with the idea of, building a network of Airbnb properties in town.
No, but you do wonder when individuals begin to buy properties with the intent of not living there and renting it, and then would they be inclined to build an ADU in addition?
To have two separate rental properties
That's
on the
about the
same.
only way you can make it affordable
Well, that's what
as
you-
an investment.
That's what you wonder if things
Mhm.
are going, because that's what you see east of us anyway, is properties being bought up and.
But you'd have to meet all the septic, and we have a lot more hurdles than a lot of places.
Yeah, it seems like
We
a
have
small.
no town water.
Small town is in a
Septic
predicament.
is
I
gonna.
think we're pretty far from the investor striking up
But you're
breaking
right.
ground here.
Yeah.
And we're okay with that, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think most of us are,
Yep.
but that's good. But, in terms of, it opening different perspectives of housing a little bit here helps.
Yeah.
It does help, but I don't think it's gonna be a lot of them. But I think people having a little room who are here to do that
Yep.
is good. I hope they don't push back too much.
No, I mean, I think there's opportunity. So, I mean, any chance you broaden the horizon for folks, it's good.
Mhm.
All right,
Just while you're here, just so you have it in your head, Baker Road is in conservation restriction. Allen Road is in conservation restriction.
so when did that happen?
One
Way
of them,
back?
not super way back, but, if you go to the assessor, it,
The town voted?
I believe so. I know they are both in conservation restriction.
That intrigues me. And I'm not.
Intrigued is not the word that I came up with at the time that I found this out.
I'm not confident that that's true. I
Okay.
mean, I've had some other questions about, I have to be careful. I'm not sure that there's a historical perspective on some of these issues that would make it clear to the assessors as to whether or not those properties actually were put into the hands of, so they're in the hands of the Conservation Commission.
And Carolyn wasn't aware either,
No.
obviously.
Well, and Walter
but,
and I have sat in on
um,
sessions
the-
with Dennis years ago where we made decisions about which pieces would be placed into the hands of the Conservation Commission. And
The problem is, the assessor's database legally is, my understanding is the
defining.
the defining record. So if it says it there, then,
So even if there's no paper trail or,
well, I mean, the information is in there. You can go and.
it'll
and
say,
talk
it'll
to
have a
them, and
date
it says
of
on
when
it says on the thing when it happened and all that. I just don't remember. She sent it to me. I can probably look and send that over to you also.
Because, you know,
But-
whenever we put anything in ARC, we've been real cautious to stay away from certain parcels because we agreed.
The only one that wasn't was the Gates Pond one, which is basically a cliff that we can't build on.
which would be
It really drops off that.
Oh
Oh,
my
it's-
gosh,
it's-
it's
it-
terrible. You would
you
have
can't-
to bring
you
in.
can't hike down it, right? It's-
Yeah, it's awful.
So what we've got to do is work strategies with the Conservation Commission.
So
So
that
when
they
we're
buy
acquiring
more,
parcels,
we
we
can
cut off parcels.
Take out.
So you leave
We
room
swap,
for
yeah.
a lot or two here or there, or whatever.
Yeah. But we can also, if they put things in, when they put things into conservation, my understanding is that we can take some out. You just have to do lake for lake area.
Really?
Yeah.
But I mean,
So that is another option that I'd
I
like to
mean,
discuss with
CPA could
conservation.
certainly say to conservation, when they would come with a proposal to acquire another parcel of land, and there'll be other opportunities, I would imagine, that we're interested as, you know, citizens to try to offer opportunity for some affordable units at the same time, so that, you know, if it's a 20-acre parcel, we want, you know, a single-family house lot cut out from it and turned over to the trust as part of the deal, and maybe we throw in some trust money as part of that package. But, and if it's 40 acres, it's two, you know, maybe you come up with some sort of sliding scale. But why not? You know, I mean, I think, because obviously it's gonna be hard to come up with parcels otherwise.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's gonna be opportunity to buy and protect more land, certainly. And particularly if you've already got a house lot that's got an existing structure and you add another house next to it, you know, I mean, it's not like it changes the dynamic of that parcel significantly, particularly if it's a larger piece, so, you know. Yeah. But, I mean,
Yeah, 'cause
it'd be
we're gonna have
interesting
to be creative, because we don't have a whole lot of options here.
No. So CPA could, I mean, we can chat about that with you guys at some point. Ways in which to, because CPA doesn't have to recommend every proposal to town meeting, and if we don't, then it doesn't go to town meeting. And so, if we believe that acquiring open space should be balanced with an opportunity for some affordable units as a principle, then it seems like we could, work with conservation on that and come up with a strategy, and then work with you, and then be able to just build that in as a logical progression every time we looked at a parcel. Huh. I'm gonna look at those two pieces.
Okay, and I will send you over what by the assessor. 'Cause
I mean, I've been playing with those pieces for a long, long, long time.
There's also, Allen Road also has an easement that's an issue.
An easement across it?
Yeah.
For,
I don't know what it was for, but there's an easement on it.
the whole parcel or just part of it?
It like cuts right through it.
Like a 20-foot wide?
Like I said, I don't know specifics, I heard conservation restriction, I'm like, okay, we're done.
It's a CR on part of it?
There's a CR on it, and there's an easement through it. So there's both.
On which?
On Allen Road.
On the
There's
Allen Road
that-
one.
So there's
I
that,
didn't see
remember
the
there's that
easement.
bit that looked a bit like a road on it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was probably something, whether it was for power or it was
I mean,
for something.
I think someone tried to develop it, it looked like perk poles I had seen up there as well, but, I mean, very, very old, but, yeah, maybe, I didn't look at Allen enough to search out an
But
easement.
I'll send those around.
Way back, there was
Was
a.
it the railroad or something?
Could be-
Cause the
like I
railroad's
said,
on
I don't remember
both
how.
sides of that,
Was it on both sides?
well, the active and then,
Okay.
yeah.
So, there was a time when there was a proposal to build, a development in Clinton that was gonna come out onto Allen Road. But I don't think it was,
Further up.
I think it was further up.
Yeah, cause there's big tracks at the end of Allen Road. And there's skinny little, but when you look at the map, it says not to be built. Not ever to be built, like right on the plan.
Huh.
Not to be used as frontage, this strip, I don't know. But there are big tracts of land back there.
Okay, good.
Cause you needed something else to do, so
Yeah.
you got a little puzzle to work on.
Well, I gotta talk to the
We'll get
assessor
you
about
thinking
some other
about
things,
housing.
so I thought.
Yeah, she's really helpful, she's really knowledgeable, she
Yeah.
was, but yeah, we were right in, we had legal on the phone and, nope. And then the other thing that came up is, Lincoln
But-
Road, the Legion Hall,
Right.
they were concerned about that being a non-conforming lot. Now, just so y'all know, I talked to somebody on ZBA and also talked to Richard, and their feeling was that because it hasn't been used for the non-conforming use, it is agricultural, residential zoning.
Right.
They thought because it hasn't been used for the 2 years for the non-conforming use, that it would go back to residential agricultural, and they felt we would be fine.
It's a pre-existing non-conforming lot
Mm.
that's residential agricultural, and there's no one that owns a budding land that would make it more conforming. So, to deny the right to build on it, I agree, I mean, the building inspector would have to say.
He
you know,
seemed to feel that
yeah.
there would be no
Right.
issue,
No,
and
I
we're
think-
gonna follow up some more, but
No, I
he
think
thought
that-
we were good.
No, because,
Cause legal was concerned if we needed any sort of variance, that there would not be a firm reason for the variance, and the neighbors are already, trying to buy the property.
Oh,
two
okay.
neighbors.
Two neighbors wanna buy the
wanna
property
buy
from the
the
town.
property from the town. So we need to be careful if we're to go down this path to make sure that, because even after we did it, if we didn't do everything exactly right, they could challenge it.
Right, and the notion would be from scratch, does it
No,
exist?
no, they would take, Habitat has already looked, they have already approved this, they would take the existing
Really?
structure,
Oh, cool.
preserve the historic envelope, they think it's adorable, it is the perfect size.
Oh, it is?
For that lot, it is
Um,
just.
Well, that's
so
good news.
Yeah.
Huh.
And then you would just,
That
I
would
think
be
the
my hope.
thing is they would need the odd, septic system,
Yeah.
because there's not enough room, so you do the Presby system, is it?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Or something like that, but they were thrilled to death with it,
oh, good,
they've been in there twice,
cause how many square feet is it?
do you guys remember? I don't remember.
It can't be
Probably
much
be
bigger
a
than.
1,000, 1,200? Yeah.
Yeah, I was
It's a little
gonna
hard to tell, like, cause there's that weird front
It's a
porch
nice open
enclosed.
plan.
Yeah.
You could really
Yeah.
just go in and petition it. and
They also,
plumbing
they
runs
would have done
under.
Allen too, they said that
Mhm.
is just like a lot they did in another place recently, they would have happily done Allen. Well, I'm looking at it too, I'm like,
For an
there's
affordable
nothing
lot,
there,
did
why
it
would you
not
make this
have-
conservation?
You ruined
the
Thanksgiving at the
required-
Wheeler Homestead, right? He's gonna be sitting there staring off into space for
Affordable lot could
days.
be a different frontage?
Yes. It could have a waiver, a
How many,
frontage waiver.
how many square feet in that lot?
In which? lot?
Many. It's,
The Allen Road?
it's over 2 acres?
Yeah, so it'd have to be more than that. I mean, there's the reduced frontage lot, which is 100 feet of frontage with, 200,000 square feet of, no, 200,000 square feet, something.
Oh, okay.
It might be 200. But that's like 3.5, 4 acres.
Right. Like the one, is it South Street or South Street, right? Up from the golf course, they just did that lot?
From the golf course on Carr Road,
No,
the golf.
the
course.
putting range.
Oh, the driving range.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Driving range.
one of those lots, they come in with 100-foot.
I think so.
Yeah, and then they drew, cause they've got big acreages.
Yeah.
But a lot of that land's under a CR, so everything that's gonna get built is gonna be
Mhm.
on the street. What if there's only like 3 potential new lots. I think. If you take the cottage that's already there
Yeah,
and leave it.
altogether, I think it's
Yeah.
3. Cause
Huh,
yeah,
all right.
so they have to have at least double acreage to do the
Yeah,
100-foot.
yeah, the goal there was that if people had the opportunity to take a reduced frontage lot and not put a subdivision in with a stub road and like 3.
Make it usable for a single
They
family.
might very well say, look, we don't have to build the road, we can still put a house in here, let's just go ahead and do that and use it as a single family lot.
Yeah.
That was the objective.
I mean,
I think I just sent you all the property cards, it's in a long thread though, so if that's not the right one, then just let me know.
a long thread. Just
Yeah,
weed
there's-
through it and
there's
see
a
if it
lot,
applies.
Yeah, there is a lot, but there should be attachments on there that are the.
Okay, good. I'll look at that.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, Allen Road's a beautiful lot.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we were very excited for
Yeah.
a minute.
Yeah.
I went into,
For about this long.
I went into the meeting with legal, I'm like,
And
this is not a nice day. This is
I will
not,
be honest,
this is
I
not
had
a nice
mixed
day.
feelings about the Legion Hall because it was a great thing, but the history of it is like, do we
Yeah.
sell this? Because
I think
it's an adorable property, and I think
the best option probably though is to do
I-
the habitat thing because they
Mhm.
will, like, I think the
They'll-
most they would
they're
probably
committed
do
to
is
save.
maybe change the doors so that you had one entryway or something like
Well,
that.
the foundation didn't scare them, or
You know, the 3 other
No.
schoolhouses are already houses.
So it'd be fun to have a
that
second
was-
floor.
That was all built at the same time.
Are they on non-conforming lots also?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so they are
Yeah.
all on non-conforming lots also.
So does
Yeah, 'cause
Do you
like-
know when they were converted over to houses?
Oh, before my time.
Okay, so that's
So-
part of the,
I mean, that's
The rub.
pre-zoning.
yeah.
But also with this new housing initiative, didn't they ungrandfather a bunch of property that what had been, you know, they had set a clock years ago that if you didn't
There
do
is-
something with
yeah.
it, I think I read about that they kind of undid that, so that if you had a structure, a non-conforming structure, that you can do something with it.
Structure or lot?
Um,
'Cause zoning usually refers to
yeah.
lot generally,
To-
but, there
I'd
is,
have to
there is
try to
something
reread
there
that.
about, yeah, and I can't
And they
remember which
sort of
grandfather piece
unwound-
they sort of unlined, you're
Yeah.
right, yeah, there's something.
Also
Yeah.
the, joint owned in common, they took that away. So if you own things in common, that they don't combine it, or,
They took that away,
that's what I read, I would need to verify that, but
'cause that's.
that
one of
was a
the-
big one.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, that, I know we've had people come in with, you know, like 3 adjoining lots under the same ownership
Uh-huh.
and but not conforming, and we've had to say, you know, it's time for you to bring these into greater conformance, and then, I guess on Pleasant Street, they could build 2 individual units where there were 3 lots, but they brought them into conformance. We've had people come in and say, my lot's non-conforming, and if we do this with an abutter, we'll become more conforming, and then that would allow us to do, you know, add this addition or something like that. And we've bought into those proposals, 'cause it brings it into greater compliance. The notion is anytime we can move in the right direction, even if it doesn't fully comply, would make it the right step. Huh, yeah, so I mean, we've been looking at ADUs because the time is ticking, you know, but the other parts of it. need
There
to
are a
be-
lot of elements in it.
Oh, there's tons, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think municipalities with water and sewage have looked at ADUs and been more concerned, and we've sort of said,
Mhm.
well, we need to make sure we've got language, but it probably isn't the ticking time bomb that it is for some larger communities east of us. There's a lot of those are towns that are built out pretty much, and now suddenly,
Mhm.
you know, here we go, and we got town water and sewage, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna build a tiny house in the backyard and rent it to the college kids that go to PC
Now,
or whatever.
accessory dwelling unit, is that necessarily a separate unit, or?
No, it doesn't have to be,
It can be a garage conversion,
yeah.
an attached
That
thing.
can be attached or detached. I
Just
mean,
dwelling space?
Yeah, we've had,
Separate entrance.
Probably two, right?
separate entrance for the ADU.
Separate entrance for the ADU. They're like 4 rules, like, that relate to the square foot, like the relationship
could-
of the square footage
Yeah.
and whatnot.
And,
But you can't like go in through the front door and go down some stairs, right? Into your ADU, that's not how that works.
'cause we've had language for in-law apartments, and regular apartments, accessory apartments, that's part of the structure that exists. And then we've had this detached accessory apartment section of the bylaw, and then we added this other part that talked about structures built after 1990 that had these other stipulations, but it didn't, no one's ever taken us up on those. Just, although the caregiver one makes perfect sense. I mean,
Mhm.
sometimes,
Yeah.
in that case, you could really be in a situation where you wanted to age in place. Now you've got the opportunity to build a detached structure on your property, and a caregiver could live there and take care of you
Mhm.
as you aged in place, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, it would be.
Yeah, it would be perfect.
Yeah, and so, but no one's jumped at that, and I think part of that, I mean, people might not know. If, you know, how many people sit at night and say, maybe I'll look at the zoning bylaw tonight, you know, before I go to bed, you know, so. But it's there.
I know,
You're-
I'm thinking I have
you're
done that,
special.
I do do that, but, okay.
Yeah, well, there's two of us.
Recognizing that it's not a normal thing.
All right.
Right.
Yeah.
Great,
Yeah.
thanks.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Well, that gives, I mean, I think the good news is the planning board really wants to work with you, and CPA really wants to work with you guys, so
Hmm.
we can strategize over the
Somehow
next.
get creative,
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity, I think, to do some neat stuff, so.
especially on Allen Road.
God damn it. I mean, I can remember,
Uh,
Arthur Bergeron
mhm.
came in, I'm sure he was looking at that property, and he was
Well,
gonna.
I was like, I
Good.
literally had the conservation chair walk me to the property. I really didn't think conservation was an issue on this one.
Right. Well, and then I can remember when we wrote the section, we wrote that part of the bylaw that said, if you build in appearance, a single-family structure, you can have up to, for like 4 apartments, but they have to be affordable. And then, you know, so someone's saying, I wanna build a big structure with a lot of apartments in it. We said, you can do that, but they've gotta be affordable. And it's gotta look like a single-family home. So you'd end up with a Victorian-like house, you know,
Yeah.
with 4 apartments. And Arthur was looking at that pretty seriously, and I thought it was for the Allen Road piece, because good night. Have a-
Good night. Happy Thanksgiving.
Calling Art
Sorry.
Bergeron.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, do you want a Barbie for you?
They're
What is
super,
it?
they're
Those are
super
to
good.
die for.
Oh,
Those are so
Did-
delicious.
Did we define them ahead of time?
They're pecan.
That's like my
Pecan
favorite,
bars.
yeah.
Yeah,
Pecan
how
pie,
appropriate for
delicious.
Thanksgiving. I gotta go home and cook turn.
Night, happy Thanksgiving.
Bye-bye.
All right,
A little sidetracked, but,
Are there-
I mean, I think this is gonna have to take some creativity,
absolutely,
like a
yeah.
huge amount of
That's why,
creativity.
like I said, the idea that conservation, if they were to put more into conservation, could potentially take some pieces out, like Baker Road, Allen Road, you know.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
that we're gonna
like,
have to look at
I
those
just
types
put
of
some land into
strategies.
chapter land, like recreational open space, and what you can do is reserve 2 acres or so, whatever is buildable in that town, and the rest can be chapter land. It's the same
Same
Mhm.
thing, except it's town land that would then be sold. Same thing.
Okay, do we have any consortium update?
Next meeting is in January. I hated to miss that annual meeting, like the first big in-person
Like, you would have
thing.
known
I'm like,
everybody,
"Ah."
and
the
we're.
first half
I
was
kind of knew
super
I wasn't-
interesting too.
Yeah.
No, the
yeah.
presentation was
I
really
looked
good.
through
Thank
the
you for those slides. Yeah.
So I did glean a couple things from that, the slides. What was one thing that you do, yeah. And then I was gonna ask about the inclusionary that they talked about, because it was on there, so I was kinda questioning that, but.
An hour.
Yep. Goes longer when we have a guest.
I know, I might have to jet at like a few minutes.
Jasifa has COVID,
Okay.
so,
Yeah.
the trust financial stuff, as far as I know, is set up.
Yay, so we have accounts.
We
Oh,
have
good.
accounts. Kathy has taken care of that for us. I was
Nice.
gonna talk to June about how that was set up, so I think.
Are those
think we're good.
investment accounts or
I don't
holding
think
accounts?
they are bank accounts, so it's, and I don't know whether she put one or separated them. They have to be separate on paper. I don't know if she separated them as separate accounts. We may need to meet briefly at some point because Jasifa was supposed to bring the bill schedule to pay for her salary tonight, and obviously,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, not, so we will need to sign that. In order to, it comes out of the warrant article, but we
Yeah.
still need to sign the.
Who
the
needs to
thing.
sign that? All of us?
It's probably
Or
gotta
just-
be at least 3.
Just quorum, because potentially, if you guys are gonna be at town meeting, that might be a place we would all be together and could,
Yeah.
it's not you,
Which night
but
is that?
Monday the
I-
9th. But that was just a thought, that we might
I-
all be there,
I
What
will-
except for
time
you.
is
Mike.
town meeting,
Yeah.
7?
I think so.
I would like to be
Yeah.
there.
So if you end up wanting to do that, I can
Okay.
Yeah.
run around with it.
All right. I'm not sure if we have to do it in a meeting or not, a scheduled
A
meeting.
scheduled meeting, right.
I think we may have to do it in a scheduled meeting, but, they did send the MOU back over with comments from everybody and their brother. It does not include, I know that there was some discussion about making the payback 5 years rather than 10, just because people don't stay in houses as long as they used to. I remember that being a comment,
True.
but they didn't address that in the thing that they sent over, so I don't know whether we
Oh.
just wanna go with the 10 years or.
I mean, just because people doesn't, I mean, I'm not sure that's a,
Maybe
Yeah.
people will because interest rates are so high.
Well,
you
I mean,
know,
exactly. I
And there's
mean,
no,
Right.
there's not a lot.
I say I'm
Inventory.
good with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, 10 years goes by fast anyway.
If that's the case, then I will look through all of the comments
All the
again and
comments.
try to clean it up a little bit, and then we'll get it over to legal, because
Okay.
it'd be great if we could, in the
Actually.
new year, actually, like, get this.
Mhm.
Sweet.
done. Let's see, we kinda covered the community build stuff. Scott's not here for any town meeting updates, but we kinda know what, I mean, you have your warrants in hand, so you know what applies to us and what doesn't. And there's nothing we really have to do, so, wanna just go vote for the things that apply to us.
And so we'd have our own designee on the
On
CPA.
Yeah.
Is that you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that would be me.
Thank
You didn't know? It's gonna
Yeah.
be.
No, I thought so. I just
Yeah.
didn't
Like,
sure that.
it could be you if you want. No,
volunteer. I
no,
didn't
no,
know
I'm
whether
totally
that
on it.
was
No, no.
still.
Yes, no, I've been attending the meetings.
Okay. No, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know we've been really careful to try to divvy out, so we balance the load
Mhm.
on people as much as we can.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not taking much longer.
Because
Well,
you
you
have
have-
a load.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah.
About,
significant.
5 weeks old, you said?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's real.
I know,
Wow.
right now she's probably like, where are you?
Yeah, yeah.
This is good, this is
Yeah.
good, practice, like,
Yeah.
nice short.
It's hard.
Right, oh, yeah.
Okay, anything else?
Lisa and I met with the website guy.
Oh,
Like the
yeah, I
guy
forgot
who's
about the
talking
website
to
guy,
all
yeah.
of the different offices about what they want from the website and, and so I think we were a lot more into it than most of the people we've talked to.
Yeah.
But we have hope that maybe we'll be able to make some changes, and he seemed like he had some ideas about we wanna make things more visible and make the navigation make sense.
Yeah.
And all of the housing partnership materials need to move over. We need a one housing
He's going to do
website.
that for us.
Oh, nice.
So that's
He's
gonna
going to do
happen.
that for us.
That's awesome.
And he did walk me through how to do sub-menus. I'm not entirely sure, because he didn't make it work in front of me, whether that was the,
Yeah.
But it
but,
was more
um,
information than we had.
but it was more than I had, and it's something that, because that would be nice too, if we could have
Yeah.
sub-menus.
Yeah.
He did say that the long-term goal, I think, is to move it over to the new Civics Plus, which is much easier to use and much easier to navigate, so, but that is right now it's the paring pages down, making everything 8A compliant, sort of making it so it ports nicely, is his role. You pay by the page, all those things, so, but yeah.
Great.
Alright, anything else?
No,
Right.
when's our next meeting?
December meeting?
December meeting could be a
Is
problem.
it the day
Tricky.
before Christmas, probably?
Yeah.
The
I
4th.
mean,
What is it? Yeah, that would be the 25th.
So we are absolutely not meeting on Christmas. We can change that to another day if y'all like, or we can just take December off. It's entirely up to you guys.
I could take it off,
Yeah,
or
we can-
push it
It
into
would-
January.
It would be nice, like, if the MOU came back. I mean, the thing is, if we don't get that back, I don't feel, that's the thing that I'm interested in chasing, if we got that
What
back.
is the third
That's the
Wednesday?
18th.
18th.
There's, you know,
Let me-
Cub
yeah,
Scouts.
let me look. And then we can see if that'll work.
That's kind of tricky for me too.
Okay,
Still,
so
I
no-
got so much going on.
Yeah.
Those 2 weeks.
Yeah,
But,
it is,
yeah.
you know, and
Oh,
maybe,
yeah, but
and
it-
maybe
yeah,
the
we're
lawyer-
not here long,
maybe we just,
so,
maybe we
You
just
know,
skip
it
it.
really is okay if we just say December is too much.
I guess yeah,
That is
I mean, the
fine.
chances that the lawyers get back to us is pretty slim. They haven't been speedy yet,
Okay.
so, okay.
All right.
Well, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Aye, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can't
Awesome.
just.